Back here on One Bills Live, Chris Brown, Matty Glab, and the Wall of Famer Darryl Talley. And we're out here at Northtown Automotive, Northtown Toyota in Amherst, 1135 Millersport Highway. Come out and see us. We're here till 3. Got some giveaways from the good folks at Northtown. But we're here to talk to Darryl right now. And, Darryl, you've got a couple of go-rounds with the Steelers in the playoffs.
I know. It is like I said, it's a Northeastern team. It's a team that's part of the Rust Belt, so it knows how to deal with cold weather. Yeah,
two teams that are all too familiar with what we could have on Sunday afternoon, at the very least, it seems, in the second half. This is shaping up, perhaps due in part to the weather, to be one of those gritty, grimy games that the Steelers have pretty much played all season long, Darryl, because Tomlin, they have some talent on that roster, but I don't think the depth of talent runs as deep, perhaps, as the Bills. And so what do? They play running the football, shortening the game, controlling the clock, and then try to get opportunistic on defense, get a turnover or two, protect the football themselves, and they find themselves in a one-score game. They can keep running the football, and that's how they've won 10 games. They're 9-2 in one-score games this year.
I understand that. That's just like a few years ago that was the Colts. Indianapolis. They did the same thing, but what I think this game is going to turn into, and I've been telling everybody, it's going to turn into a rock fight. Yeah. This is going to be a fight where it's going to be one in the trenches. I don't care about all of the high flyers or nothing like that. This game is going to be one up front. If the weather has anything to do with it, it's going to be in the trenches where this is won.
And I think we like to hear that the trenches on the offensive line for the Buffalo Bills, they've been doing a great job this season at keeping the pocket clean for Josh Allen and allowing the running backs to find some holes and to gain some really great yardage. You look at what James Cook has done toward the end of the season, and you look at what some of the other running backs have been able to do as well. It's nice to know that if the Bills need to rely on the run game, they've proven already this season that they can win games running the ball. And you heard offensive coordinator Joe Brady, the interim offensive coordinator, say when he took over, I want to be able to win in different ways. And we know Sean McDermott has said several times, when it starts to get colder, when winter happens, when the playoffs happen in Buffalo, we've got to be able to rely on the run game. So what have you liked from James Cook this season?
I love the way he runs the ball because, in my opinion, he runs the ball on an angle towards the sideline or at the C gap, and he's got enough speed that he's out in front, and the linemen, when they come around or pull around, they've got clean shots at the linebackers or whomever's coming at them. So him being as fast as he is getting to the line and getting to the C gap, running on an angle away from the defense, actually votes well for the Bills because he's a little faster than them, so he gains a yard or 2 yards before you know it. And if you're running him versus a linebacker makes a bad step, he's out the gate. It's not like anybody else where Cooks will hit his head on the goalpost. So my thing is, we got to run him with the ball and run him outside, not just up the gut. And if we go run him up the gut, guess what? Let's put 2 tight ends in the game. Run the double team inside because this year our inside 3 guys have played exceptionally well, I think. And run the ball right there in the middle of the field with 2 tight ends in the game, 1 wide receiver and 1 back. Make them have to stay in their lanes.
Yeah, gap integrity. Flipping it over, Pittsburgh, they only run about 3 or 4 run plays, but they run them effectively. They execute it well. Duo is one of their big plays. They just double-team everybody, and there's the opening, and Najee Harris is running through there. Jaylen Warren's running through there. My question to you, though, concerns Terrell Bernard. This is a kid that had to replace Tremaine Edmonds in only his 2nd season in a Bills uniform, and he is a much different type of player. He's not a 6'5" condor, with an 80-inch wingspan.
He's not.
He's a 6'1" guy, goes barely 228, but is really instinctive.
Easy. 228 was my weight, 228 to 235.
Okay.
So don't be talking about the guy being little at 228.
Get out of here. You weren't 228. You were bigger than that, weren't you?
Most of my career, I played anywhere from 228 to 235.
I would have had you 235 to 40. Man, no. Really? Okay.
I got from A to B in a hurry.
Well, in any event, I'm curious. What are your thoughts on the job that Terrell has done? Not only filling Edmonds' void, who left in free agency, as we know, but running this defense this year for a second-year player.
I think he's done an exceptional job. I mean, he's not made some of the plays that Tremaine made, but he makes plays in different ways. My thing is just watching him stand up behind the line and run and be involved in pass coverage is what he's done well at. Mm-hmm. So that'll help. I mean,
he's got 3 interceptions. He's got 3 fumble recoveries. He's got 6.5 sacks from middle linebacker. I know McDermott likes triggering those guys in the A-gaps and on the blitzes.
Basically what he does with the A-gaps is you run them through, because if you got the 2 tackles going outside and the defensive ends coming inside, it's going to open up large in the middle. Mm-hmm. And somebody's got a chance to run through before those guys fold back in. So that's what he's doing. He's hitting the gap and going, because everybody else is more concerned with the tackles. Nobody's really concerned about the middle linebacker because we very rarely send him. And when we do send him, we're sending him in A-gaps. And my opinion, you can run through that way, yes. But the biggest thing I think we have to do this weekend is we're going to have some integrity as far as our edges go. We're going to have to set the edge, because they're going to try and wash you out. Mm-hmm. They're either going to try and wash you out or pin you down.
Rousseau is really good at that because he's so long.
Yeah, well, that's part of being on that side, playing outside, is you got to have long levers. I mean, usually most outside defensive ends or outside linebackers have long levers. They have ways to keep you away from them. So, that's going to come into play. But my thing is, we got to get off blocks. And we have got to maintain blocks and finish. Finish every play. Because if you don't finish it, something's going to sneak out the back end.
Speaking of the defense, when the team really turned it around coming out of the bye week and started to win back-to-back games, win 5 games to finish the regular season and earn themselves the number 2 seed, it was really the defense carrying the team. Since week 14, when that win streak began, they are allowing less than 17 points a game and have only given up 2 passing touchdowns in 5 games.
I get that.
What has it been from this group being able to put things together, starting with the defensive line, like you said, they need to on Sunday?
Playing together, playing as a unit. They have fixed some of the holes that they were allowing to happen, and basically what it is everybody's back to more of a gap control deal, and they're looking at where people are running, and not everybody's just running, and they're not getting washed down as bad anymore.
You and your teammates back in '95 had to play the Steelers on the road in the playoffs without Bruce. That was the Bruce flu game. You remember? Steelers got to come here without T.J. Watt, Mr. 19 sacks, which led the league, Defensive Player of the Year candidate. What is the mindset for a team when you're missing such a big piece? Like, what was it like for you guys knowing we don't have Bruce today and we got to find a way to win, and that's our best pass rusher? Because that's what Pittsburgh's coming in here having to do.
The way we looked at it was no one person is bigger than the whole team, the collective group. And if you can't go today, then the guy behind you has got to be ready. The guy behind you's got to be ready to go, and you got to have everybody on the same page. And that was the one thing about us. We had everybody on the same page, and we didn't slack off or did not call something because we didn't have a certain player in the game. We ran everything we did because everybody was taught everything that we had to do and knew what we were doing. So at that point, it just became a matter of execution. And that's when you have to have fine focus on details. You've got to know what you're reading, what you're seeing. You got to know what your keys are, where they're at, what they're doing, and you got to communicate. Communication, I think, for linebackers and defensive linemen is huge, because if you don't talk to them, you don't know where they're going to be.
Yeah.
You know where they're supposed to be, but they may have changed something up front and they're running a stunt or whatever, and now you got to run the hump, or you got something that's coming up that you didn't expect to see. And then if they do something that they're not supposed to do, which you have a lot of guys that will go off script, I will say. They will go off script and try and make a play.
Not do their job.
Well, they're doing their job, but they'll swim the gap and then try and replace themselves and not be quick enough to do it. Because in today's NFL, all you need is a body on a body and give a running back a yard crack to jump through. So guy can get through that hole if you go the wrong way. If you're trying to make a play and you figure I'm going to swim the guy this time, or I'm going to underarm pry and just put pressure on him, get penetration. Well, if you do that, now you've taken and actually exposed your linebackers. You've exposed your linebackers, and you've gotten in the way of the other defensive people, because now you're in another person's gap. You're where somebody else is supposed to be. You're not where you're supposed to be.
That's why you hear coaches say, just do your job.
Yeah, that's what they say, do your job.
You're 111.
And that's the biggest thing. Everybody's got to do their job.
Every season has its own story. Every season has its own identity. During your playing days, it was the same exact team. Not every team was different year after year, even if you had a lot of the same guys on the roster. Do you believe this team is peaking at the right time with the potential to run the table here and host a couple of playoff games?
I do believe they're peaking at the right time, because when everybody looked at them and said, oh, well, Buffalo's in trouble now, I'm like, okay. They came together as a group and decided it was time to make a run. And at that point, when they decided that, I think you can close the door on everybody else, because now their only concern is getting a W. That's all their concern is. They don't care how it comes. In my opinion, they don't care how it comes, just as long as they get it. And right now, that's the most important thing. Going into each week, being ready to fight whoever you got to fight and do whatever you got to do. Sometimes you may have to do some ugly things in a game, but you got to get them done, because guess what? You got another 53 guys relying on you. So everybody's got to take that attitude. Hey, it's all on me. It's about me. I got to do my job today, and I got to do it better than I did it all year, because this is a lose and go home.
Right.
We don't want to go home.
Well, they've kind of been in that mode the last 5 weeks. But to your point, Josh said this week that, we've been in this survive and advance mode for the last 5 weeks, because they had to kind of run the table down the stretch to put them in position to win the division, which they've done now. But he said, we still don't feel like we've put our best game together. How much does that help going into the postseason, knowing you got 53 guys that are still chasing their best collective game?
That's pretty good, because you're always going to be chasing that. I don't care how long you play the game or how short you play. You're always going to be chasing the perfect game. But right now, they're chasing their best game of the year, every week, because they've elevated their play from where it was. So now the standard has risen. Since the standard's risen, now everybody else has to step up to the plate. This is what's expected of you. This is what we are asking of you. This is what we demand of you if you want to play here.
Gotcha.
And basically what it came down to was players holding other players accountable. Hey, man, look, if you got to play, you getting a paycheck. Don't back up to the pay window on Monday. Come in there with your face looking at them saying, thank you, and I walk out the door. So go earn your check. Don't back up to the pay window. And that's it. That's why there's 53 guys on a team. That's why it's called a team.
Yeah.
It's not called me or I. It's called team.
This group is 4-1 at home in the playoffs under Sean McDermott and Josh Allen. They win home games in the playoffs. What is it like? You won a bunch of home playoff games during your playing games. What is the difference of playing at home, playing in front of Bills Mafia?
The difference is the amount of electricity that when you walk out there that you can plug into. I mean, I came back after a couple years ago. I came back to a game. I was standing there and I was going, before the game started, I'm going, wow, this is kind of dead right now. And within a half hour, 40 minutes, you could feel the electricity in the stadium, outside of the stadium, before you got in it. And that's the one thing that I used to always look at. I go, you know what? If you're having a down day and you're not quite there to play, when you walk out on that field, you are going to get a jolt. I mean, even the most calm people are going to get a jolt when they walk out there.
Put you over the top.
When you go out there and you got 80,000 people and it's snowing, up to their elbows, and it's raining, it's nasty, no one wants to be there, but they're there. They've been there 5 hours. They've been there 2 days before time. They come to watch you play. And you know what? Give them their show. They deserve it.
Yeah.
And my thing is, I always want to play because if it's a nasty game, I'm in love.
Yeah.
Because the nastier the game, the better it is for me.
You grew up in nasty and East Cleveland. I know.
I grew up in Cleveland. I grew up 2.5 hours down the road. What do you mean? I grew up on this same old dirty lake.
I know. That's what I'm telling you.
That's what I was looking at when they were talking about moving the game from Buffalo to Cleveland. I'm going, that doesn't make any sense.
That's not an improvement.
Do any geography?
Darryl, thanks for the time. Good to
No
have you with
problem.
us. We'll see you at the game on Sunday because I know you're taking that in, right?
Yes, I will
Yeah,
be.
you'll be there.
Love it.
Wall of Famer Darryl Talley joining us here at Northtown Toyota in Amherst, 1135 Millersport Highway. He's going to hang around a little bit, say hi to some folks. If you want to stop down, say hi to Darryl, do so. Otherwise, look for him on Sunday at the stadium. He'll be waving a towel or something out there, right?
I know. I'm not waving a towel. That's a terrible towel.
Yeah.
You forgot I'm from Ohio, and that's Pennsylvania.
You're not
There's
waving a
big
towel.
war.
A Bills
That's
towel,
probably,
if
yeah, I meant like
There is a big
something
war
with a
there.
Bills thing on it. You'll be in red, white, and blue. Don't worry. We got to
Yes,
take a
I
break.
will be.
We'll be back with more here on One Bills Live, presented by Kaleida Health. It's Buffalo Bills Radio.